that confidence that they had in me. And ever since then, I've tried to instill that confidence on everybody I've ever talked to.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
And it's unfortunate because Ventnor is a nice place and they do have a lot of nice residents. My cousin actually lives there. And it's just unfortunate what it's turning into. It's like the residents of Atlantic City know that they can prey on the people of Ventnor. It's like, there's nothing in Atlantic City anymore because, everybody's just either locking their doors or their car's been stolen 25 times and all their windows are blown out anyway. So let's just go start stealing cars, robbing people, burglarizing houses.
So Kev, you said you used to ride down the street on your bike looking at hookers?
Not my bike. We were in a car.
You were looking at hookers?
Yeah, we were looking at hookers.
You were just looking?
Yes, I was just looking because if you saw it back then.
All right, listen.
So there was
I want to get this straight.
I'm going to tell you how good I was. So there was, where Showboat is, there was one, and we used to call her Orca. And she was
a hooker.
Yeah, she was a big gal. All right, she was a very sturdy gal.
How'd you fit her in the car with all you guys?
we had a Subaru Brat with the seats in the back.
With a hatchback.
Yeah. Blew that suspension
Orca
out.
hung out the hatchback.
Remember the seats in the back with the handles? So, but that girl, as big as she was always busy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Always busy because people had a thing for her. So yeah, that was an interesting thing. But the city's changing, and guess what? As they started moving people out of the inlet, and I knew it was going to happen,
right.
You're going to see because the inlet was the worst, and you're going to see just people go. And a lot of them went to Pleasantville, and Pleasantville was never nice. It actually was nice in the 70s, but it wasn't nice when I grew up. And they want to stay near the city, so they go to Ventnor because it's parents wanting to get their kids out of a bad element.
Right.
The problem is the bad element follows those kids because they keep the same friends.
Yes, and then you got like Ventnor goes to Holy Spirit and goes to Atlantic City and everything like that. So you got families that want to move out because they want to have a better life because they know the city's just going to shit. So they do go to Ventnor because they don't want to take their kids out of school, right? And everything just kind of follows and trickles down the hill.
That happened up here. So you have the inner cities and really good people. There's a lot of good people in the inner cities.
Yeah, of course.
First of all, I want to state that very clearly. But there's a lot of garbage as well. And the parents wanted a better life for their kids. The only affordable housing they could get is out in the Poconos. They could get a house for like $75,000,
right.
$60,000. So they would move out there, trying to do the right thing. The problem is the bad element that was hanging around their kids went out there to visit.
Yes,
and they would. Yep. It was a big problem.
Well, see, that's the thing in the Poconos because, my ex-in-laws had a house up there, and you see it all the time. You get these kids that, these suburban kids, they move up to the Poconos with their parents. They kept the same friends. Mm-hmm. Now the parents are still working in the New York, New Jersey area. Mm-hmm. They're out of the house for 12, 15 hours a day.
Yeah, they don't know what's going on.
So they went up to the Pocono house, and
that's exactly what happened. You hit the nail right on the head. And it's an unfortunate scenario, but it happens way too often.
So when you got into police work, when you wanted to get into police work, you always wanted to be a street cop, or is there a specialty that you wanted to get involved in?
To be honest, I never really wanted to be a cop at all. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure you guys have heard that before.
Well, that's me.
I've never wanted to be a cop. It was just something that one of my buddies who still works in Point Pleasant Beach to this day was like, dude, you should just come up here, man. Just work a summer or two here, see how you like it. I feel like you'd be good at it. And I started, and I was like, hey, you know what? I am pretty good at this, And then I was like, you know what? Let's do corrections because that seems fun at the time. I mean, I was way wrong, but I was like, yeah, that's great.
Well, what year are you talking about when you got on the corrections?
So I graduated the Corrections Academy in 2012.
Okay. And how old were you, though?
I was 20.
I was going to say you were young.
20,
yeah, but that's a home run because you're in the pension system.
Yeah, I started as a special when I was 19. And then, I started in the pension when I was 20. Yeah.
Wow. So that's a big deal. That's a really, really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And support for the Suffering Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming.
Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle.
Inside the package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, Weed Whacker Ear, Nose, Hair Trimmer, and the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant.
And we also got the Crop Reviver Ball Toner. This thing is a life changer. Along with that, boxer briefs.
I'm going to tell you what, these are like high quality boxer briefs, and this is no joke. I'm not saying this just because Manscaped sent it to us. These are nice. My boys are going to be quite happy in there.
You can't tell Kevin's wearing them under the table right now. And we also have a nice travel package.
Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer. just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TSP at manscaped.com.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of balls.
You know, it's a good selling point with police. It's like, hey, you got a pension, you got benefits, the pay is good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be sold on it. But the
You tell a
liability-
20-year-old kid that, they're like, yes.
Yeah, right. You're looking for a job. You want that brass ring at the end when you hit top pay.
Right.
And now the top pays are so spread out now, it's even scarier. But
I know. There's a department I just heard a couple months ago. Was it 191 that's up here?
Bergen County is the highest paid in all of New Jersey.
Yeah,
I heard Edison's 191.
Edison's messed up.
Edison, yeah.
You could take that one.
190.
Listen, I'll
I
go.
heard
I'll go, up to,
191.
I'll go up to Alpine, which is like the richest town in all of New Jersey. Those cops are probably making the same money, and they don't do anything.
I drive a 2022 vehicle, and I drive a decent vehicle. If I drove my vehicle through Alpine, the cops would stop me. It's
Really?
happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Because it's not like a $200,000 Mercedes?
They know everybody.
Oh, it's that close knit.
They know everybody, and they're ultra rich, and I'm not ultra rich.
Right.
Well, I started my career in the Bergen County Sheriff's Department. We used to have to go serve process papers up in Alpine. You had to go to the police department there because there's no numbers on the house. They'd put a police officer in your car, and you'd say, I got to go to this person's house. And they'd bring you down the road. Okay, make a right here, make a left there. And that's their house there. And walk up this long driveway.
That's where Eddie Murphy used to live.
Yeah. Mike Tyson.
Wow.
Mike Tyson, yeah. That's
CC Sabathia.
Hey, well, the rich, that's it. I mean, I guess if you can afford, chauffeur service like that, I mean, I can imagine what the taxes are up there.
Oh, God. The taxes.
30 grand?
For an average house.
Right.
For an
Damn.
average house.
Yeah, but I always say that, if your house is 30 grand, that means you're making millions of dollars because you could have bought that house.
Yeah. So what was the draw to police work, especially when you got on the road?
The draw was the adrenaline rush, and the draw was, it's cliche as it's going to sound, it was just being out there and helping people. I've always kind of been that person growing up. I've always been the person that's, something goes on in school or like something like that. Like, hey man, call Mike. Mike will take care of it. If you need something, give me a call. I'll come, help him move a couch or whatever the case may be. I was always that person growing up. And I found that niche in police work, going to somebody's worst day. Multiple times a day. I found that to be rewarding, and that's what really kept me in it, and that's what really hurt when I walked away.
Now, did any of those calls that you went on, I imagine in your departments, I know Prince George isn't the best of areas.
No, it's a shithole too. It went from literally like state prison and then state prison without the bars.
And then you went to Stockton, which was babysitting.
Unbelievable climate change, and I was tearing my hair out. Great people at Stockton. There's very good officers there, but I was just pulling my hair out. It just wasn't working.
Well, I know people who transfer, and this happens a lot. When people transfer from the inner cities, the pay in the suburbs is better.
Mm-hmm.
They transfer from the inner cities, going to the suburbs, and I know they go back.
To the inner cities.
To the inner cities.
Yeah, because that's why I went to Ventnor.
Because they're bored as hell.
Yeah.
Right. You're 100% right. Like, I went from throwing fists with the worst criminals in the state, in state prison, and throughout, the country, because they all get shipped there, to, locking up some of the worst people in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, and then to sitting on a college campus with college kids drinking beer and me trying to bust their balls about that. And that wasn't flying. So I was like, well, Atlantic City's not hiring right now, but Ventnor Civil Service, so we're going to do that transfer right over.
I don't know whether I could take the attitudes of college students
couldn't.
anymore. Because they do think they have the world all figured out.
100%.
Listen, man, you're 20 years old.
Right.
You don't know shit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't know shit, but you don't know shit.
And sometimes you just want to let them fall on their face so they can learn.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I was kind of butting heads with my administration. I was like, you know what? Screw them. If they want to go and do this dumb shit, let them do it. They want to go walk down Pomona Road and get picked off by a car because they want to walk down the road drunk at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know how dark that road is.
Pomona Road, by the way, is like there are no street lights. There is nothing.
It's ridiculous.
The cars just fly down there. Yeah.
It's like Frogger, and especially all the deer that are down there. It's like, so I'm like, you know what? Let them go walk down the road. If they want to make this decision, make this decision.
That's a new thing, by the way, the deer. They weren't around all
Oh,
that
yeah?
much. Yeah, that's probably within the last 20, 25 years. They were around, but they weren't around that much.
Yeah, there's a lot down there now.
Yeah. It's up here. Wait, just be careful driving home from
Yeah,
there.
no kidding.
So your career's going pretty good.
Yeah.
Were you at S.W.A.T?
I was.
You were at S.W.A.T with Ventnor?
Mhm.
So, yes, he worked with my brother.
I did.
Was my head smaller than my brother's at least?
A little bit.
A little bit. Not much. A
Yeah.
little bit. And I got a big head. I know it. But how was SWAT? Do you like that?
I loved it. And that was one of my goals when I first got onto just in law enforcement. My goal was to never to make rank. I didn't really care about being a supervisor, mainly because I wanted to be there with the guys. I wanted to be in the shit. And I found that as my career progressed, I'm like, I want to do SWAT. I want to do what a lot of guys can't do or strive to do. I'm always that person looking for, the best ability that I can create for myself. Some guys like to just kind of, coast along.
Coast through their career.
Right, and that wasn't me. So
it's same thing came out. We had Jose Medina in here last week, Team APC. He's SWAT through and through, and now he's been training SWAT for quite some time.
21 years.
I hear the same words coming out of your mouth that came out of his mouth, as far as the love for it and, and the drive and the adrenaline for it. Now, there was one incident where SWAT was called in Ventnor. It was a shooting incident.
Yes.
It wasn't your particular incident.
It was not,
which
no.
we'll get into. Were you on that one?
I was not.
Yeah.
That was before I joined the team, but that incident was a call out for an armed subject. Same kind of thing. He was barricaded inside his house. And unfortunately, he opened the door with the shotgun, started putting rounds down range at the officers, and they had to take the appropriate action and neutralize him.
Yeah, he went down.
Yeah.
But I know there was a lot of lawsuits on that one.
Very much. Yeah.
Which is a shame. Somebody's shooting at you can shoot back.
Yes. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys know that firsthand. So, yeah, it's
Listen, I got on the SWAT team in November of 2000. I was on the team till the day I retired.
How rewarding was that, right?
it's
Like
fantastic.
when you first get on, it's like when I first took the like SWAT test, I actually failed it the first time. I missed it by one round, by maybe like half of an inch. Because like you gotta, when you do your shooting qualifications, they have to be on target. They gotta be in that square. And the way AC Atlantic County does it, they do your PT test and then your shooting test right after it. So you're fatigued from your PT test, and
there's a reason they do that.
100%. You got to be able to shoot under pressure. You got to be able to shoot tired, and you got the rest of the guys watching you and everything like that. So all that pressure's on. And I failed my first time. And I remember one of the team guys came up to me and he was like, "Dude, you're good. You got this. Just come back, take a deep breath, come back in a couple days, and crush this." And that's what I did. It was that confidence that they had in me, and ever since then, I've tried to instill that confidence on everybody I've ever talked to, guys that have joined the team or guys that want to join the team or anything like that. I've always tried to mentor them. Like, all because you fail now does not mean you have to fail through everything. You can continue to keep bettering yourself and just have that. You just got to have that mindset to continue to keep pushing forward, that never out of the fight mindset. Because if you quit, you quit.
With our SWAT team, we used to go in full gear.
Same thing.
We'd have to run a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do the reverse qualifying course. We go up to handgun retention.
Right, yep.
And then 3-yard line, 5-yard line, 10-yard line.
It's the same thing, yep.
And you had to pass that.
Yeah, and we had to do it.
Running a full mile in gear. Full gear.
Have to, yep.
And then come back and fight.
So our PT test was a mile, full gear, jump a 6-foot fence, do a 200-pound dummy drag, the sledgehammer hit. Got to put your gas mask on, bear crawl 50 yards, and then you got to run up 4 stories, run down 4 stories, pick up a ram, run back up 4 stories, run down, and then you're onto the shooting course. And same thing, you're up at weapons retention, and you're going back 5 yards under time.
And it wasn't like, okay, now I'm going to move back to the 5. It was like, you went handgun retention, and then 3-yard line, and then 5-yard line.
Yes.
And it was like
rapid.
Snap.
Rapid. And there's like, I tell all the guys, it's two-handed point shooting from inside of like the 12-yard line. Like if you're looking for your sights, you're going to run out of time. Like you need to be that accurate.
Grab onto your front sight and go.
That's it, right?
But that was something of a purpose to you, and
Yeah.
you stayed there until you left the job, correct? You stay with SWAT?
No. So we wound up having like manpower issues. So I just want to come off the team. Of course, that's just how that
Manpower
works.
issues.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's taken away from services like SWAT that are really needed. So then we get into your reason why you're here today.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell us about this shooting?
Yeah. So like I said, I was about 10 years on the job at the time. It was August 6th, 2020.
That's actually my brother's birthday.
Oh, is it? So it was, and I've said this before, it was kind of like a normal day. And I know everybody kind of says that when traumatic shit happens.
They all start
it's
off normal.
crazy, right?
Slow, right?
Right.
Slow day.
Slow.
Where you're sitting there wishing something happened. Give me something to go on to.
That's exactly how it was. We had a storm roll in the morning, and it was a hell of a storm. And I remember so bad that all the storm drains were kind of clogging up. And you being on the island, that drainage system, sewer system,
There's not much pitch on there because actually
Right.
drainage is something I'm involved with now in my current profession, and it's so flat down there that they actually have to create undulation in the road in order to get the drainage.
Right. So all the sewer grates were clogging up and everything like that. So everything was flooding. And you guys know, both being cops, that nothing really goes on when it's raining out. You're just sitting there in your car, you're directing traffic, you're doing something.
That's the best time to speed. Because no cop wants to get out of the car, write a ticket when it's raining.
When I first got on, they say a good cop never gets wet,
Yes.
is never tired, and never goes hungry.
And those are the
Never
words
hungry.
to live by. If anybody's listening to this who's not a cop or thinking about being one, that's very wise words. So it was very slow in the morning. We had a storm roll in. And then it was just a very oddly slow day. And I remember we got a call for a stolen vehicle. Our town was split up into 3 wards: first ward, second ward, third ward. I was in the first ward. My partner, Pierre, was in the third ward. We get a stolen motor vehicle out of the Acme in Ventnor. So we go there to speak with the caller. Caller's not there. Dispatcher's like, hey, the caller left, but he'll come back. And he's going to just come to the police station to file a report. So I was like, okay, this is BS, because I was there to help him canvass the area, see what I can help do. So I leave, and as I'm coming out of the Acme parking lot, I go to make a left on Wellington Ave. And as I make the left, I see this guy and this 2-door coupe, I think it was a BMW, Mercedes, whatever it was. He's pointing at me and pointing back, And I didn't know what the hell this guy was talking about. So I make the left, and I get behind him at the light. I roll down the window. I'm like, hey, buddy, what's up? What can I help you out with? He's like, I don't know what's going on back there, but there's a postal truck driver in the middle of the road, and this guy's running around it like crazy. I think he's trying to steal it.